We could have had a Polaroid shot of the child being taken out of the tent by a dog and we'd still go down. From the start, the media disregarded the presumption of innocence, almost as one pointed out in every possible way that they thought the Chamberlains were guilty. But after the jury had been impanelled, they had a bit of a chat about things, and they all thought that as a consequence of what they'd heard and read previously, she had to be guilty.
And this is where I think the media significance really hones in. Can we talk about how Lindy Chamberlain was perceived by the media in terms of her reaction to grief?
I think there was a judgmental approach to Mrs. Chamberlain's demeanour, and a number of people were convinced that she didn't display the symptoms that they themselves would display on the loss of a child.
There wasn't time to go and tell people. I just yelled out, has anyone got a torch? The dingo's got my baby.
So she wasn't sad enough, or she wasn't distraught enough for the public's comfort.
Yes, they were criticised for talking to the press. They were criticised for taking photographs.
And when you were dealing with her as a client, did you see grief?
I saw a very brave woman who was suffering greatly from the death of the child. No question about that. She was a very firmly believing Christian. She believed that she would see this child again and that God had a purpose in taking this child. So in effect, the poor child wouldn't have to walk through this vale of tears in life like the rest of us. If you believe that, I think probably your demeanour is not going to be the same as if you don't believe it. She was also doing her best to crack hardy for the two little boys whose lives were so dislocated. I certainly saw Mrs. Chamberlain crying, and I was told that there was times when the press saw her crying, but that was never reported.
I think certainly that wouldn't have fit the narrative that I believe the media chose to take with this, was that, this was incredibly unusual circumstances with a really iconic Australian landscape as the setting for this death. And I think the media sensationalised all of those aspects.